Today, David's going to share with us a very, very personal story, and it might affect your life if you just pull a chair and listen and participate. If you have any question, just type into the chat box or not the chat box, the comments, and I will monitor it on Facebook. So without further ado, we are before 5 o'clock, huh? Yeah, we're 2 minutes. We're early, so no rush, no rush. I'm talking to myself here. Sarah, help me here, Sarah.
Of course. All right. So even though we are 1 minute early, we're just so excited to get started. So I'm going to kick off our meeting with my intro. So everybody already heard my introduction. So I'm just go very quick, very short this time. And my name is Sarah M. I grew up in Cambodia, and I unfortunately had to live through the horrible experience that the Khmer Rouge took over Cambodia and they turned it into a killing field. And you already probably heard a little bit about that killing field genocide. And I had to live through that for 4 long years. I don't know how can I made it, but I'm here. That's the good ending, and you and you see me here because I give the credit to God because without His help I wouldn't be here, and also my determination that I'm going not going to give in. I'm not going to give up. I want to live. So that's my story, and I was able to come to United States and start my new life here, and I'm always grateful to this country and grateful to all the people that helped me get start my new life. And I'm also double grateful to meet my dear friend Lee so that we can do this together. It's enjoyable, and I just cannot tell you enough. We have fun. We always look forward to this time. So I wrote my journey in the book, how I survived the killing fields, and it's available on my website sarahm.com. Now I'm an inspirational speaker, so if you ever need somebody to inspire your audience, just reach out to me or Lee or David. We all speakers. So back to you, Lee.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, we all have stories. More importantly, we all have messages that we want to encourage you, to enlighten you, or even educate you in some aspect that we have been through, that spare you the trouble and spare you the agony of going through whatever we went through. Now, just real quick, um, I also have a story which is 40 years ago, but it always seems like yesterday whenever I think of it. So I wrote my memoir into a book last fall. So you can check it out. And also my TEDx talk on my website, leetran.com. It's a refugee story. It's a long and tough journey to come to the point that we are here. But we overcame it. We thrive, and today I am so fortunately to have met a young gentleman that who I was in the same networking group with. He's a speaker, a DJ for many years, but he has a really heart-wrenching story that, just listen to the title. It's called "A Guy Fall in a Hotel: Lesson from a 6 Foot Under." He almost didn't make it out, and his hole was just getting deeper and deeper, and he just keep falling harder and harder. Now, how did he get out? It was just all about resilience, and it's all about tenacity, all about fighting back. So he has a really personal story about, um, I'm not even going to tell you about what. I'm going to let him tell you the whole entire thing, and I'm just gonna keep that so you can stay tuned and stay put and share with your friends on this platform because it's very, very, very important for you to listen in today. So thank you, David, for coming back and sharing with us your personal story and something that I know is very near and dear to your heart and something that definitely I know that you're very passionate about sharing your message and just so people don't fall into the trap that you did. So tell us about what you want to share today.
Well, definitely, and thank you both for having me on today. Just a quick clarification because I've got a lot of background in hotels. The story is Guy falls in a hole, not a hotel. So I just want to make it clear to all my hotel friends out there that nothing
Did I say
happened at your
hotel?
place. I think so. At least
Oh,
that's what
I'm
I heard.
sorry.
Maybe that's my many years working in hotels that I automatically heard that. The other thing is, yes, usually I'm talking with my wife Lisa about voting, and voting is never over. It's always going on somewhere. So we do have those programs going on every Saturday night and another conversation altogether. But today is, as you mentioned, resilience, goal setting. Goals get you out of holes. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, have you ever felt like you were coming from behind, like way behind? Like the race was this morning and you're just realizing it at 6 p.m.? You know, of course, we all have. Or that feeling like you're being buried by something and you just can't see the light or the way out. Well, whether it's personal, business, finance, health, most of us have had those holes. And with your stories, I'm sure you can relate to that kind of feeling of just no hope or no way out, like you're buried by something. Well, certainly I had been through that on numerous occasions, but the one that really stands out is the day I was poisoned. Now, I'm not a spy, I'm not a double agent, although Blake, David Blake, would be good for another novel. Uh, th- that's not what happened. Let me back up a second. When I turned 40, 7 years ago, life was good. I was happily married. I just became a master level scuba diver, and my business was number 1 for the 5th year running in Chicago. I just done well coming out of the uh, '08 market crash and built my business back up as everyone else had to back then as well. Had my first day off. My wife and I worked together, so we had our first day off in 22 days. Went dancing the night before with industry friends and had that day on the couch like nothing was going to get you off of it. I'm sure everyone can relate to that day when the bathroom is too far away. The you wish you could pay anything for fast food to come set up right in front of you so you didn't have to get up. But right at that moment is when the dog looks at you and then does the door dance. So I looked at Lisa, she looked at me, and I put my shoes on and my coat and I took the dog out. Well, it's Chicago, and I'm sure you've heard how brutal the weather is in Chicago. Well, on that walk, I slipped on the ice, broke my ankle, and that started a 3.5 year journey of not having a day off. However, If somebody was watching, I would have definitely won America's Funniest Home Videos on that ice that day. But that hole in the ice, in the snow, was about to become an avalanche for me because things started spiraling from that point. The break was the least of the troubles. It was 2 days before Christmas and not an emergency, so I had to wait 2 weeks for surgery. When surgery came, our surgery day, I should have heeded the warnings because it was a blizzard outside. Everyone said stay home, but we made it in, and 2 hours later, success, or so the doctors said, until I woke up after surgery, and Lisa started noticing something was wrong. Something was off. I couldn't hold myself up. My speech sounded like a college student in Mardi Gras, and um, just everything was wrong. But I could urinate by myself and not on myself, so the hospital said it must be the anesthesia. That'll wear off in a day, and they sent me home. As the days went on, the issue kept getting worse. And the next thing I know, it was months, 6 months in a wheelchair, hundreds of scans, doctor's visits, tests to try and rule things out. Stroke, Parkinson's, MS. I had the symptoms of all of those, but none of the brain markers to actually say that was the problem. So, did a little research. Lisa did the majority of it because I couldn't do much. Meanwhile, I'm losing tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket for medical expenses. My business that was number one was now tanking because some clients got spooked. Some of them just needed service, and I wasn't in a position to give it to them. But I also hadn't set up anybody with my goals, my vision, my plan as to what to do in that kind of scenario. So more and more clients left until they were pretty much all gone. As we progressed, I finally started getting a little better, a little better. And I could hold myself up uh, most of the time. Have you ever seen a fainting goat? They are hilarious. If you startle them, they go stiff and fall over. Uh, that's what I was doing, except it would happen with no rhyme or reason. My whole body would just go limp, and I'd hit the ground with no warning whatsoever. And if older or startled, just like the goat, I would go stiff, my whole body, and fall over. Um, so, small progressions, although things were not good. Until one day, my birthday came along, and we got good news. The Mayo Clinic in Minnesota was able to finally see me, and they would have some answers. Unfortunately, their answer was a death sentence. They gave me 3 to 5 months to live with ALS. Right, right. So it's just going down and down and down. Like I said, the avalanche was about to begin. Now, what do you do when you've got 3 to 5 months to live? The room starts spinning. Every worst nightmare comes crashing in. And this is where you start looking at, what do I do now? Who do I call? What is my next step? And you're not thinking clearly in those moments. Well, let's stop there for a minute because for all of your audience, I want you to do this after our program today. Go through your phone and look at all the contacts in there. If the people in your phone won't pick you up if your car breaks down, bring you chicken soup if you're not feeling well, or make you smile and laugh if you're having a bad day, cut them loose. Then go back and look at all the contacts left. Call them and let them know you'll be that person for them. I guarantee within a couple of days, you'll start to see your own life change for the better. And that's where we get back into the story. We are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time around. So, like our mom said, don't spend time with that specific person. Well, this is what she was talking about. Put the people you want to spend the most time with in the right places in your life. So that day at the Mayo Clinic, I get a phone call from a friend, Eric, who just wanted to check in, and we told him the news. Eric drove 6 hours on his motorcycle to bring us dinner and spend 24 hours with us. That's the kind of person you want in your phones. I mean, what a life changer. We didn't know what to do, but just having that friendly face, that calm body, made so much difference. Again, I encourage all of you to, number one, make that step. Uh, Surround yourself with better people, with people that you relate to, and they are there for you. You're there for them. We tend to try and that's the interesting thing about social media. We try and surround ourselves with as many people as we can, but we really need quality people. So, just a note on that to put the right people in place. They're going to make the difference. So, from there, what do you do? For us, we gave away everything we owned, um, packed our car with the dog and cat, and we drove to Florida. Uh, because again, it's winter, and this is where my goals began to kick in. If I'm going to die, it's not going to be in a frozen Chicago. It's going to be on a beach somewhere with a frozen drink in my hand. That's where my mind started going. And that's where we started seeing a little bit of light. The Florida sunshine brought us a little bit. Lisa's research was turning up that the drugs I had received in the surgery were turning up on recall lists. And then she turned up that the same facility received a shipment of those drugs. So now we've got a better answer. We've got an idea what may have happened. And over 6 months, I'm getting better. I'm not declining like they said I would. And I'm not dead. So, again, a little bit of hope. So we came back to Chicago, tried to find an attorney that would take the case. No one would without a $2 million retainer. But we've got some hope. We've got some goals in place. And I started implementing my background of helping companies with innovation and goal setting. In doing so, I started setting my own goals to walk and be independent, to meet people like Jack Canfield, to help others set their goals, to restart a new business, and to drive down the coast in a convertible, along with riding my bike through the Florida Keys. I set a bunch of goals. Well, all of those I just mentioned came true and then some, because the more I reached a goal, I set a new one. I trained over 400,000 students in bullying, suicide, and violence prevention live on stage. Jack Canfield, the chicken soup for the soul guy, he is now one of the friends in my phone. And this year on my birthday, I'm going to ride the Florida Keys 120 miles top to bottom through the Florida Keys. That is how goals can get you out of holes. When you can envision that next step, see what's ahead, you can achieve anything.
Oh my goodness. What a story. So you have made it sound easy, David. I want to follow up with a couple questions.
It is not easy, I can
It's
tell
not,
you
but
that.
I mean, I know it's like within 15 minutes, you make it sound like you just get back so easy and go back right back to your goals. And I know it was not. So back to the poison of the lot that is what's
Yeah.
injected into your body.
Mm-hmm.
How did you actually be able to trace back and say that? I mean, after 6 months, your ankle, I presume that is already healed. You're
Yes.
supposed to be able to walk. Your bone is healing, but you were just tip over like a drunken goat that you were not able to control. So obviously, that is something with the nervous system that was affected.
Correct.
Did you have any treatment? Did you go out and prove that is because that drug that they put in your body was a bad lot that causing all this LMS signal, Parkinson's, all those symptoms? I mean, what make you indicate that that is from the drug that was injected into your body that causing all this problem? Why all the doctors misdiagnostically and tell you they only have 3 to 5 months to live? How do you
Um,
deal with them? It's like,
well, the dealing with them was them being the doctors was difficult because they didn't want to accept that it could possibly be a drug reaction. We looked up all the symptoms of side effects. None of them were matching up. When we found the problems with the recalled drugs, we started researching the things that were in there. And the things that were in the drugs, such as chlorine, silicon, uh, iron oxide, those things can destroy the nervous system. And by finding that out, we could start piecing together. And the doctors had no other explanation as to what it could be.
hmm. Well, I know that a lot of women, not to scare everyone, that going through labor have to put epidural, right? And that is like anesthetic that will inject right into your spine. And
Mhm.
that was something I was really worried when I had epidural for my C-section. And I have heard about story that it can actually cripple you if something in that one injection didn't go well. And it did give me 2 years of back pain. I think that's just part of the side effect because you're messing around with the nervous system. Um, but yours is like even a lot more intense because the lot was expired. Did you find the lot was expired and then the medicine integrate? I mean, deteriorated and decomposed, or it's got a lot of contaminated substance in
It
there?
had contaminants in it. It wasn't expired.
Mm.
It was in date, but the research that we did turned up that one specific plant had been putting out a series of these recalls with the same issue. And they seem to have stopped that, but it
Oh.
took a long time before that could happen.
So that is the tragic. So tell us, how did you recover? Was it a journey of you have to relearn everything, or is that just something that on your balance, or is that did it affect your mental, your speaking, your ability to think, your uh, dexterity, your motion, anything that's been affected by this drug poisoning?
Thankfully, it was physical only. All
Mm,
the mental abilities were always intact. It was balance. It was the ability to walk. My speech was very, very much affected. I couldn't hold a glass of water. Yeah. And I still have some balance issues. I still wobble a little bit when I walk. I lost about 70% of my physical mobility.
wow,
I am
that
currently about 80% of where I should be.
Wow. So
that's
it must
incredible.
affect mostly your muscle. So
Yes,
your muscle is affected. Wow.
correct.
Yeah. Thank goodness your memory, your brain is still functioning.
Hmm.
So your speech was slower, like somebody got a stroke, and you just can't control the muscle.
Yeah, it was very much like that. It would be
Mhm.
slow and drawn out. I would have a hard time with words, getting it pronounced, speaking clearly,
Mm,
and the it did seem to affect areas of my brain, but none that were cognitive.
Mm.
Um,
okay.
areas like the limbic that affect emotion,
Mm.
that affect laughing, joy, sadness. That those areas of my brain acted, or the way it was explained to me, those areas were reacting as if I was going through a haunted house every day.
Oh my gosh, I could imagine. Um, so I am so glad that you have on the road of recovery and you are able to be here and share with us your experience. What can prevent? What can people prevent to go through an ordeal when they are in a crisis of something is painful is happening and they are about to wheel into an emergency that as totally at the mercy of the drug that they put in their body or the doctor or the nurses that who's taking care of them, and you are in the situation that like I said, it's not under your control. What can your loved one look out for you? What can you ask question that to prevent something like that to happen from to other people?
Number one, that's a great question. Have an advocate, somebody, a friend, a family member, somebody that can think more clearly,
Yeah,
because obviously you're going
you're not in
through.
that condition, right?
Right. And I don't care what you're going in for. If you cut your finger, you're not asking all the questions you should be asking.
Yeah.
So, for that person, do the asking. There is no silly question. There is nothing out of bounds. Ask. If it comes into
Right.
your mind, ask.
But I
And
guess
number,
it's tough. Yes,
it
because
is.
sorry, go ahead.
Number one, when it comes to the drugs itself, because most states aren't mandated to record the lot numbers in a patient's chart, anytime you are given a drug, a capsule, a shot, anything, make sure to ask for that lot number. And many of the hospitals will tell you that's not our policy.
Mm.
However, it is your right to have. And you can insist they put it in your chart, and you can insist on a copy of that.
Mm. Or can you just take it on your own? Just say that which manufacturing and what date and what lot when it expire.
You can, and I have, because many places have tried to guard that information. And they would show me the bottle and let me write it myself.
Mm.
However, that's not admissible
Mm.
because it's not coming
It's
from
not a
them.
court um,
Correct.
piece of evidence that
But if
that.
that's all they'll give you, you
Hmm.
can at least, if you start having symptoms,
Yeah.
you can start tracking, was that lot number recalled?
So going back to your case,
Yeah,
you probably don't even know that was a recall lot at the time because it probably
no,
have not been recalled yet.
correct. Um, Actually, I believe one of them had been,
Hmm.
um, but it had been recalled after it was checked in to the stock. So
Mm.
once the hospital checked it into their supply, they didn't follow the recalls.
Did you find anybody else that using that same lot had the same problem with you that you'll be able to connect with?
Not specifically because it's guarded. That
Oh, yeah.
information, only 10% of doctors are reporting adverse events.
Mm.
So, because they're not reporting it, the drug manufacturers are able to say, well, we have no reports, so it must be fine.
Mm.
Well, that bring us to, I guess that same thing with vaccinating any of the things that are injected into our body. Not to say that vaccine is bad, but I guess that we have to have a precautions about what lot, what's the consistency of the drug, and uh, and take care of what is putting into our own body. I mean, I know the vaccine will help millions of lives now that for the coronavirus, but also vaccine is also man-made, and man-made can be stored in the wrong place, room temperature, not, there's many factor. I work in the not manufacturing, pharmaceutical company that I know drug, if you put in a certain time, it can degrade it can be contaminated, impurity, and it can be many other factor of unstable drug. So um, do everything with precautions. I guess that's the bottom
Always.
line.
Always. And with the vaccine, again, when they give you the card, make sure they write that in. They're supposed to do it.
Hmm.
But if they don't leave until you get that.
That is a great idea, and I am so thankful that you are here and you'll be able to tell us your story and share with us the hole that you're climbing out, not the hotel, the hole that you're climbing out, um, and be able to talk about it because this is resilient. This is keep coming back and
It
coming
is.
back.
And setting those goals and envisioning. And you want to set a goal higher than where you were before. Because most likely you weren't happy where you were before. So set it higher. And even if things are going well, the same things that'll get you out of a hole will help you climb that summit by it's being able to see where you want to go, envision it before it happens, and then it's not something new. Most people are afraid of change, but if you've already seen it, then it's not change, it's attaining what you already have.
So
And
what advice do you tell people from falling back? No.
um, that same thing, that's a great question. Um, Without goals, we tend to go through our life just taking things day by day. And when you set goals, you're always stepping forward. You're always reaching for that next prize. Like a child, if you're holding out a cookie and a small child wants it, they'll fall, they'll cry, but they'll always get up because they see that cookie, they want it.
I
And
haven't got it yet. I need to have that.
yes, and we work the same way. Our brains work on positivity. So when we can see a goal high enough that it keeps drawing us along, then we'll keep getting up and it'll help us from falling back in the hole.
Yeah.
Now, if we fall, use that point as a marker of how far you've come, not a discouragement as to I fell. I fell off
Right.
stage 3 times trying to get myself back out there,
Yeah.
and it hurt. Once was at Soldier Field in Chicago where the Chicago Bears play, and I fell into a crowd of thousands of people.
Wow.
They helped me up. When I got back on stage, that for me was that step forward, and it was a leap in my life by stepping back on that stage. They cheered me on. The show went on. It hurt like hell, but it it pushed me
I
ahead.
think the pain is the day after when you're alone.
Yes, yes,
So,
exactly.
were you performing? Were you speaking when you?
I was speaking, yeah, all 3 times, and my body wasn't ready, and I just, as I mentioned before, sometimes my body would just give out, and I was too close to the edge of the stage, and my body gave out, and I went head first into the audience.
Oh my.
But
Oh,
again, those were for me markers that,
hmm,
hey, I'm back on stage.
that's
If I
called
get up
resilient.
one
Yes.
more, it's resilience. If I get up
Yeah.
and take one step towards that goal, even if I can't make it today, but I take one step forward, resilience takes over, and
Yeah.
you can the next day take the next step.
Mm.
Well, the results certainly a lot more sweeter once you get there. You know that you have fight for whatever you want to achieve, and we thank you. We thank you so much for your resilience, for your wanted to help other people by telling and sharing your story.
Definitely. My pleasure. Anybody can get where they want to. Set your goals. If you're in a situation where you've got to put out a fire or bail out the hole because water's coming in,
Yeah.
obviously do that. But try and separate yourself so you can have that moment to see ahead.
So, what is your service now, real quick, if people want to connect with you or people have medical issue questions or even speaking or recovering, things that people want to connect and find out how did you handle all your struggle to get here? So maybe you can help them. Where do they find you?
They can find me at 2 places, davidblakepresents.com, or they can email me davidblake100 at gmail.com. Both places get to me, and that's whether they want to hire me to speak for an event, a corporate event. I do training 1 day, 2 days, 21 days for corporate, and I'm about to release a personal 21-day program. So if you want to be on those lists, email me or come to the website.
I don't know if you hear it, but I've got a lot of broken
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
So probably best to just if you can write the information underneath our video or in our web page.
Definitely, I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah. When we finish, you just put it on underneath our video.
I
Well,
can do that.
it is a pleasure to have you back. Sarah and I both very grateful to be able to be here to have you share your story with us. So we appreciate you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Thank you to your audience. And again, reach out. I'm happy to help.